What does that mean?
I don't know, but we'll get with Zuckerberg.
Oh, right. Sorry, Zuckerberg. Sorry.
This is what we should be doing.
Like Ted Rogers used to do in that 3-2-1. Remember?
I don't know whether we're on or not. Here we go. We're on. 3, 2, 1. Ted Rogers, Dusty Ben.
3-2-1.
It's an obscure question. I could never do it at all. Dusty Ben 3, 2, 1. It was just too hard for me.
Oh, in case you're not sure, Dusty Bib was the 3-2-1 was a weird quiz show. It was on. It was about the 80s, wasn't it? It must have been the 80s.
It was, but the prizes were fantastic. But if you could guess what the cryptic
But
claim
it was
was,
all bollocks. Like it was just nuts. It was all
I know.
nuts.
It
So
was
it was.
total
Aye.
total
So
nuts.
what
Here
you
we
been
are.
at this week?
Just out and about, doing the odd thing and enjoying the wet weather that we've been having. It's been pretty miserable.
We had good weather. I was away. I was touring. I done 3 nights Edinburgh last week. 3 nights Edinburgh, 2 nights Belfast, 2 nights Dublin. And weather was spot on. A couple of wee pieces that wasn't great, but it was dead on. Nice grip, nice tour. The driver was great. That was a good week. It was pretty good. Dumbest question I got asked this week at Titanic, Justin. Guy walks up to me. I'm standing outside, just minding my own business, but coming a bit of time. Guy walks up and he says, "Excuse me, where's the underground car park?" Have a fucking guess, me.
Yeah, it's under the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Probably best not to go to the 5th floor.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? You know.
It's under the ground. I know, madness.
Oh, it's out in the middle of the loch here. I tell you honestly, God, people are fucking
Yeah,
stupid. No, that's what he
that's
says.
mad.
Where's the underground car park?
Had he parked the car there, or was he just looking for
I
it?
assume he must have done because he looked as if he had parked the car there. So I said, "Aye, so I'm down there." I mean,
Alright.
what are you supposed to say, like,
Well, it's maybe one of those self-driving cars, and it drove off on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cat from Knight Rider was driving it.
Vup,
You know.
vup, 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 vup.
Hey, we're on a
That's
thing with the 80s here tonight. I know
that's
it's 3, 2,
yeah.
1, cat the car.
It's an 80s show. Funny enough, I was thinking about David Hasselhoff the other night there for some reason. There you go. Everybody said,
Are you thinking of the Polish Baywatch again? Do we need to show the picture from the Polish Baywatch?
I don't know here. We
No.
better say hello to some people because they'll wonder what we're talking about. Good evening. Remember to comment, like, and share if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. It helps spread the word about the show. Andrew McAllister says evening. Anthony Sillett says hello. Robbie's watching away. Hello to you. Declan Boyle says hello as well. Linda Cox as well is in tonight very early. Stacey McAllister is in. She says she's not old enough to remember Dusty Ben. Look it up on YouTube. It's worth a look. Kilkieran, 8-year-old cast strength. Anthony Sillett is on tonight. That'll do.
All right.
We'll go there. You go there.
Yeah.
Darren,
that's coming up.
Darren Flack, evening to you, and Sean McClan to you. And better give the other people a mention. I better look down the thing. David Boyd Armstrong's on tonight as well. Declan Boyle as well. Darren Flack. And several other people that must be in anonymous mode because I can't say who they are. So there you go. They don't want slagged off by me or you, so they're in anonymous mode.
Aye. No. Aye. Kilkieran's actually Campbelltown.
Yes, and yeah, it was.
We've been there. We've both been there. So aye.
And an old newsreader that worked with me, Eleanor McGilly's watching tonight as well. Eve and Justin, thanks for that, Eleanor. Thanks for watching. There you go. I know you're into your food and stuff like that, so there you go.
We'll have to do a food pairing night sometime, Justin.
Well, our mate Peter came up with why don't we do music of whiskey, but then we'd get Zuckerberg, of course, because we're not allowed to play the music.
Yeah. As I said, as soon as we play one song, Zuckerberg attacks us, and we can't have that. Because he thought you had the tallywhacker out one night.
We get done for nudity. We're at the Black Pig Steak, and then we get told off, even though it's a real
not
place.
Say that either.
You're welcome. I'm looking forward to this. Have you never watched this before? It's only been going for 3 or 4 years. How many years have we going now? 3 or 4 now?
What's 4?
4?
We're a COVID project.
Yeah.
COVID project.
And I like the way you said as long as it might go on, and it's still going. It's still going on. I don't even think we've missed a week. You know, if we miss one day, we'll come back the next or do a special.
Yeah,
So
normally we don't miss too much. We don't miss too much. Well, we do a bit of news. We're going to do a bit of news. Bit of an update on next week. What we're going to do next week when we're heading out, and then there's a wee bit of a special, a recorded thing. So there's a 20-minute video. We do a wee bit of news, Justin, because it's exciting in the world of sport.
it is. I could be getting my sports journalist credentials here. What if? Oh, not this sport. Not this sport. My
Pickleball.
mates.
Right, pickle. For anyone that doesn't know what pickleball is, it's like slow motion pared down tennis, right?
Mm,
It's supposedly the fastest growing sport in the world. Maybe, I don't know, world or America or wherever it is. But what pickleball? It's kind of more for not. How can I put this? For people who aren't professional athletes. Let's just put it like that. That's maybe a better way of putting it.
like
It's,
this lady.
I'm going to say that's maybe who the pickleball sport is kind of geared for. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the typical pickleball player, but it tends to be more sort of, shall we say, kids and people a bit more elderly and that kind of thing. but it's now got an official bourbon. They've released an official bourbon for the world of pickleball. I don't get what the. I mean, I can kind of understand when it's tied up with certain sports. Fair enough, but it's just sort of nuts, isn't it? Blue Note bourbon. Put that up on the big
I
screen.
don't actually find this that unusual, Marty, because I
Why?
know a couple of people play pickleball and they love whiskey.
Uh,
They love it.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. But this is Major League Pickleball with Blue Note bourbon. It's just a bit. I don't know. The official MLD bourbon. I just have a picture of people sitting around getting pissed playing pickleball. You know, it's not. It doesn't. I don't know. It's not. But no, I thought that was funny. I just thought it was kind of funny. You know, but aye, the official bourbon of pickleball.
Listen, everybody needs a sponsor. And after an energetic day on the pickleball court, like it's slow motion tennis,
You
come
know?
table
Yeah.
tennis. I don't know what it is. I would never play it in my life. But
No, I know that, Justin.
I know
I could have guessed that before you even come out with that sentence, Justin.
it's a sport. It's a sport. I'm not going to play it.
Aye,
Yeah,
I could have figured that one out. If I'm
yeah,
totally
I know,
honest.
I know, I know, I know. Listen, I don't even know why it's called pickleball because it reminds me of like pickles or something like that. I have no idea.
No, I'm not 100% sure myself, but I just thought that was funny. Pickleball and bourbon. So there you go. Funny. Next up, Bushmills doing what Bushmills always do. Bushmills have released. This is the 14-year-old Bushmills that has come up. I haven't tasted this yet. I just haven't got round to getting it. It's a 14-year-old single malt bourbon and then finished for up to 12 months in Malaga casks. I have a funny feeling this will be pretty decent stuff. I think this is going to be quite nice. Now it's 40% ABV and costs £59.99 or €70, approximately, depending on where you go. It might be a little bit less, a little bit more, but it's about £60 a bottle for a 14-year-old single malt, which I think these days Irish whiskey market that's pretty good. That's not bad.
That's pretty affordable.
Yeah, that's pretty. Okay, it's 60 quid, but you're getting an age statement single malt from still think Bushmills best liquid currently available in Ireland. I don't. Most people that I talk to, you'll not argue that point in terms of mature spirit. It's superb. So it's 60 quid a bottle for a 14-year-old single malt. But if you pop onto Amazon, there's another Bushmills has been released. pull up the next picture, Justin, because
Wow.
this one is a 15-year-old single malt from Bushmills. And it's bourbon and then finished in cognac casks, ex-cognac casks,
Okay.
right? Um, yeah, I'm not sure whether this is an Amazon exclusive or not. It doesn't say that it is, but I don't see it for sale anywhere else. I could be proven wrong. I've been working all week, so I haven't had a chance to really have a bit of a deep dig on this. But it's £49, Justin. It's £10 cheaper than the 14-year-old.
Okay. How does
Uh-huh.
that work? How does that work out?
I'm not sure, but it's kind of Bushmills do what Bushmills normally do. Stuff that doesn't really make a huge amount of sense. I mean, they brought out the 25 and the 30 at just extortionate costs. I mean, just off the scale expensive. And then they're bringing out really good, and I'm going to say that's going to be a good whiskey too. I haven't tried it, so just maybe jumping the gun. But I'm going to say the 14 and the 15 are going to be really tasty stuff. Very affordable, but the 15's cheaper than the 14. I'm glad it is. Don't get me wrong. Not criticizing. I just think it's a bit odd, and it's
Okay.
just kind of Bushmills being Bushmills.
Yep. I mean, that's Amazon. It's no brainer, isn't it? At that price.
Yeah, I mean, I jump on and buy a bottle or two of that. At that 50 quid a bottle, I think it's. I haven't tasted it, as I say, so I'm sort of setting myself up for a fall. But I think that'll be a great whiskey, and at 50 quid a bottle. I just ordered that 15. Exactly.
Yep. That's exactly it.
That's what it's
Exactly.
for.
That's what it's for. Yep.
Mhm.
That'll do you for a nice sort of spring drink. Spring
Yeah,
drink.
I mean that. I imagine that'll be a cracker. So it's on Amazon at 15-year-old cognac, bourbon and cognac, for 49 quid a bottle, and that's delivery and everything.
If I could work out how to master Amazon sales, we could go live on Amazon and get sort of affiliate links to sell this. You know what? It'd be interesting to see how much we'd get if we did sell this. Obviously, we're not selling it, but
Do you know what I
somebody
forgot to
would be
do? My wee Julie's just pointed this out. It's May the 4th. It's Star
right,
Wars Day.
right,
Star Wars Day. And I see Sir Morris has put up Star Wars Day. May the 4th be
right.
with you. Liberate the
Okay,
galaxy, we must.
all right.
I'll not be Morris. We know that's not Morris.
It
No,
may be Morris.
that's Francesca.
I know,
His wife.
I know that, but the trouble is, you know what Disney's like. Disney may be hunting him down now as we speak because he's
Oh, aye, that's
it's a variation of Star Wars. Yes.
aye, that's a good point. Well made. Aye,
Uh,
aye. Did I ever tell you about the time my son and me watched Goodfellas years ago? Watched
no.
Goodfellas or Casino. We watched Casino. Sorry, watched Casino, and
Right.
I watched it, and it's a few years ago now. And he says, "Dad, does the mafia still run Vegas?" I said, "No, son." I said, "No, no, no." I says, "The mafia get outgunned." He says, "By who?" I said, "Mickey Mouse." Disney appeared. The mafia might kill you and bury you. Disney will really fuck you up. Disney will fuck you up for generations. No, no. Oh no. Mickey Mouse doesn't play ball with that kind of shit. So the mafia can do what they like. But yeah. Yeah, it's May 4th. So happy Star Wars Day, all Star Wars fans.
At least it isn't Highlander, folks, tonight. At least it isn't Highlander. That's the one thing. At least it isn't Highlander. Don't
Highlander
mind
remake.
Star Wars a wee
Highlander
bit.
remake's coming. Hopefully. Me, Michael Caldwell, go and watch that one.
Oh, no, no.
But yeah. But no. Aye. So happy Star Wars Day. And good on Sir Morris. Nice one. Next up, on Monday, Buffalo Trace are opening their new London experience in London, obviously, at Covent Garden. Now, there's not an awful lot of information as to what this is going to be, but you can go on and pre-buy tickets, you get a discount, 25% is there. There's only a couple of tours available, or a couple of tastings. Again, there's not an awful lot of information as to what this is. But
You featured this before. And we couldn't work out. It's in London. What's the deal with that? It's
well, the thing is, I mean, it's Sazerac, so Sazerac will be spending a fortune in this place. It'll be top drawer all the way. But I just don't know what the concept is. It'll be interesting to see what it's like when it opens. But the first offering, the entry level one, is going to be Taste the Trace. So at the minute you can book it. It's $14.99. You get a Buffalo Trace, a Sazerac rye, and a bourbon cream.
That's a pretty decent price for London for whiskey tasting.
Well, then it goes up to $19.99. But I mean, even 20 quid for 3 drinks in London is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I imagine it'll not just be a tasting. It can't just be a tasting room. I can't see them opening that. But again, I don't know. We'll probably find out a bit more this week. But then the more expensive one is Tradition and Change. Now you can book it now. It's $29.99 for the early price, and then it's going to be $34.99, and that's going to be the White Dog Mash number 1. Again, I'm not 100% sure what that is. I mean, I haven't really had a huge amount of time to look through all that. Then you get Buffalo Trace, then an Eagle Rare 10, an E.H. Taylor Small Batch, and a Buffalo Trace Old Fashioned. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drinks in Covent Garden for 35 quid, typically. Which again, that's not expensive. So I hopefully I was chatting to a couple of people during the week, and hopefully I'll get a bit more info on it this week to find out. But if I was in London, I'd like to put my head into that, because Sazerac are not scared of spending a few pound, and I've a funny feeling in that it'll be something different. I just think it's going to be something different. It's not going to just be a tasting room, because otherwise they'll never get enough turnover. So it'll be interesting to see what that is. Be nice.
Good.
Yeah. Is there a question in there? Was there a question?
I think there was a question in there. Paul G and Andrea was the true question will be what bottles it will release as a London Distillery exclusive barrel pick within the next 12 months, if it lasts that time at all.
Oh, I don't think they would put. They'll have exclusives. I mean, let's be honest. I mean that's going to be kind of what it's for. Obviously, they're wanting to increase the sort of Buffalo Trace presence in London.
I mean, if it works, it's going to be a pretty ingenious way of introducing more people to Buffalo Trace, isn't it? Because, they're playing catch up with a couple of other American brands, really, aren't they?
Well, they are and they aren't. Because to be honest, in London, the whiskey offering, if you like, isn't fantastic. I mean, the Whiskey Exchange is there down south of the water. Milroy's of Soho's labelled as the best whiskey bar in London, and it's pretty good, but it's not. I mean, it's not out of this world. I mean, there's no pot still in Glasgow or Bonaccord or anything like that.
They're a bit more authentic than the places in London, but
yeah, well, they do tend to be. I mean, there's a couple of hotels have decent whiskey selections, but there's no whiskey emporium the same way as there is a few other places that really should be.
There used to be a place called Vinopolis in the Vaults in London, and it did wine, and it was quite good, but it didn't last, and it was all about wine, and you thought it would have had legs as well, indefinitely, but there you go.
I mean, they'll put it like this, yourself, everything. People think opening something in Belfast's expensive or anything like that. I mean, London's just off the scale. So, I mean, it's not hard to see how somebody could, the slightest sort of issue, and you're going to go bankrupt. Buffalo Trace ain't going to go bankrupt. I mean, they spend money, no issue. I mean, they spent 140 million in Kentucky down in Lochgill, down by Helen, down in
Mm-hmm.
Sligo. I mean, they're spending millions. I mean, millions as a 10-year project. So I'll be interested to see what actually is in there, and going forward what they do with it, because it'd be pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Good. Good.
Now, next up, science against counterfeit alcohol. I read this article this week, and it was kind of enlightening in a couple of ways, because it's about counterfeit whiskies, and it touches on this in the article, about collectible stuff, but the bit in this that sort of struck out to me was that 25% of all whiskey consumed, all alcohol consumed, is actually counterfeit. Some people are buying it knowing that it's 25% of all spirits consumed is illicit, according to the World Health Organization. So what this body's trying to do, because trying to actually take it out of the bottle and test it is quite expensive and time consuming. So what they're wanting to do is use infrared, ultraviolet, liquid chromatography, and nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy to be able to do it really quick and build up a database of what the chemical sort of makeup of the spirit is, so they know whether it's legit or not. I mean, thousands of people die every year because they're drinking, I mean, basically industrial alcohol, and God knows what all else. So having something that you could do it sort of hopefully really rapid to make sure it's legit. I mean, the other thing in the article, what it said was when they tested, let me just find, as much as 33% of tested old and collected Scotch whisky is said to be counterfeit, a figure underlined by 2018 when the Scottish University's Environmental Research Centre tested 55 bottles of Scotch whisky that were old and considered rare. These are obtained from private collectors, auctions, and retail. The test concluded 21 bottles, or 38%, were faked, and every bottle from before 1900 was found to be counterfeit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we did before. I mean, the major retailers in Manhattan were caught on selling.
Yeah, they were getting
Yeah.
caught out. So I'll give you an example. I mean, I'm not really saying here that's not obvious, plain as the nose in your face. But whenever bottles appear on eBay that are empty and they sell for £200 or £300, and I'll give you an example: Middleton Very Rare 2009, right? You buy an empty bottle of 2009 with the box, and then what you'll do is you'll buy a bottle of the same style of bottle from one of the lesser years that's okay, it's maybe £200, £300, £500 a bottle. But if you can take the label of the 2009 bottle and transfer it onto the bottle that's much cheaper, it's exactly the same bottle, containing more or less exactly the same the brand, and the only thing that's different on it is the label, or the 2009. And you've just turned a bottle that you've bought for £500 into a £4,500 bottle.
Mm.
And it's not hard to see why people do this. And that's why these bottles are really showing up on eBay. Really, you should be smashing those. Don't be giving people a chance. So having something like this that maybe some of the auction houses can use, or the I don't know, the retailers or the customs and excise or somebody along those lines can check stuff really quick. I think it's good. I think that's a good idea. I think that's clever and should be done. It's a very positive thing.
There you go. There's Techno Boy saying there was an Irishman in England got a bottle of Jameson's. It was not Jameson's, and he was right. It was fake, and it was a big shop.
Yeah,
Right?
I don't doubt that.
You must have missed that one, Techno. Must have missed that one.
No, but I mean, I don't doubt that. I mean, these things. Anytime there's anywhere to make money, people will. or anytime you cut corners, that's just what people do. People are intrinsically always going to try and make a quick buck. And the less scrupulous the people are, they don't care. I mean, they're quite happily buy, 40 tanks of neutral grain spirit, to colour it, do all that crap, and just fire it into a bottle. So having as much protection for the consumer as possible, I think it's a good thing. Good thing.
Very good. Very good.
However, here we go with scientists. The next one up, when you read the headline, just bring up the headline, Justin, because this we still don't have cure for cancer. We still don't have malaria. Still dengue fever and all that's spreading over thingy. But scientists have spent time, money, pen and ink and all that kind of stuff figuring out that
yes,
whiskey tastes stronger when it's neat. Brilliant. Thanks for that. That's a handy one for you to figure out for me, boys. Must take that into account the next time I pour myself a drink. Aye. Anyway, no. So yeah, whiskey tastes stronger when it's neat. Yeah.
But I have sampled some stuff with you, and it might be a higher AVB, but it doesn't taste stronger.
I know
the ones that are lower.
It doesn't matter. See, this is the point. It doesn't matter what that individual whiskey compared to another whiskey is. If I take a whiskey and I put water in it, it's not going to be as strong. I figured that out, and I haven't spent any time to. You've got a master's degree in science. You're an MSc. You're a master of science, right? You could have figured this out on the back of an envelope. If you put water in something, it dilutes it.
Yeah.
There you go. That's that done. Okay. But I don't have the published new paper. Actually, the article's actually a little bit interesting because it talks about how at certain levels of water, the ethanol molecules start to change sort of configuration, and that's partly why it's like. But that's not what the headline says. You have to dig a little bit deeper.
There you go. Read it yourself.
Read it yourself. Now, Stacey's got a question for it. Probably a very naive question, but for whiskey that is 100 years plus, surely it's a completely different scientific reading. And how do we know how whiskey that is made now will read in 100 years from now? Well, the thing is, the way that they're doing these kind of things, there are certain components in whiskey that do start to break down. Certainly, the likes of peated whiskies, after a period of time, certain chemicals in them do sort of start to degrade a little bit or break down. And it might not be in huge quantities, but they can measure these kind of things. It's a bit like, I suppose, like something similar to carbon dating. And they will know that certain things happen to everything, because even if there's a tiny little bit of oxygen inside the bottle, that will have an effect over a certain period of time. Oxygen is very toxic to everything. That's basically why
I'm pretty sure a couple of years ago we featured some sort of scanner that could scan through the glass in the bottle that the Israelis had come up with, did we?
Yeah, it's I don't know what happened to that. But that was kind of what they were trying to do. Take these sort of signatures. I mean, if they can take stuff that they know. I mean, if I take, I don't know, that Lefroy, and they'll take that and they'll know exactly what that sort of pattern is through the ultraviolet and infrared and so on. And then they can just quickly run that through. What it's going to be like in 100 years' time from now, I don't know, but they could certainly test what it's like 100 years ago. If it's made 100 years ago, what it is now. And there's sort of ways they can tell that, just sort of chemical traces and things. Justin's the master of science. You need to talk to Justin because he knows all that kind of stuff. Not right, Justin?
It's in communication, public relations, and advertising. My MSc, not in science.
Well, then what the fuck you one that says science on it for?
It's the way they write the things.
And I see Kit saying there, here, Miss and Julie, you're, oh my, of course I am. You've met Julie. You understand why I miss her, you know? Anyway.
Okay.
Aye, I'll not be that long to see her again. But, yeah. So that is basically the news this week. The stuff that I've been looking around and reading up on while I've been away. Next up, you'll notice. See, look at the name at the bottom there, boy. Huh? Look at that.
Okay.
I was out with Vincent out in the Cross Keys, and he's got a new pot still out, 46%. McAllister's branding that he has. I'm just after one of them, so I'm going to have something else in a wee minute. So yeah, out in the Cross Keys, if you haven't been to the Cross Keys, people absolutely love being took there. Vincent and Mel put on a cracking little show. Feed everybody. Places like a postcard, and you know whenever people are genuinely keen to have people there and actually just play really good hosts. They're superb. So I was out and I got a bottle of McAllister's Ballymena. Hey, Ballymena, hey. Cracking. So yeah, McAllister's, there we go, up beside me. So yeah, tough for that. And it's bloody nice whiskey too, really tasty. So yeah, he has some of that in stock, or it's coming in stock. So pop yourself out and come get me.
Justin must know the trick of adding 1 pint of pure alcohol to 1 pint of pure water.
Aye.
Marty's got qualifications in alcohol. I don't have any qualifications in alcohol. Don't think for 1 minute that I am actually playing ignorant. I do not know anything about it. I've learned a little bit, but I've had to forget it to keep the show on the road, you know. But there you go.
No, I take it, Anthony, that's the one for it separates and floats. Is that what you're talking about?
I think it is, yeah.
Or I know the one, if you add the water to it too quickly, it goes soapy. It can go slightly soapy. But yeah, aye. So I was out, and the McAllister's is now in the Cross Keys, so give them a shout if you want a bottle of it. These don't hang about for long because people really like it, and it doesn't get thousands and thousands of bottles. I think that he told me how many that was limited to 640 bottles or something like that. I can't remember just off the top of my head, but it's like 600 plus bottles. Aye, but yeah. So Tony, yeah, spectral analysis with light, yeah, that's infrared, UV. And then they're doing the spectrometry as well, and the chromatography. That's the one where you put the water onto it, it dries out, and you get the chromatograph patterns. Yeah, so that's that. What day was it there? Monday. They opened up the Port of Leith distillery. I was over in Edinburgh, as every American starts to say, Edinburgh, and then you go, no, it's Edinburgh. It's spelled Berg. Yeah, no, but that's not how you that's not how it's pronounced. And then they understand. The brand new Port of Leith distillery. Class. I have to say, the guys that have done that have done a couple of really, really cracking things. For one, they didn't have a lot of space. It was supposed to be like a conventional distillery, you know. It was supposed to be big, and then like one of the business partners pulled out, so they got left with this tiny little space. So they built up rather than across, and the way they've done it is, I mean, clever, really clever. The washbacks are actually integrated into the building, so you walk in below the washbacks, and they're sort of suspended off these the grid. Whenever you're up high, if you've got vertigo, it's probably best not to look down because it is, you are
No,
up.
it is high. You're looking down in the Royal Yacht Britannia, actually.
Well, the Royal Yacht Britannia's over there, but you look straight down through the floor. You've been there, you and Ryan, man,
Yeah, it was good.
and it is good. But they've done a cracking thing. Lots of places do the pour your own. Pull up the barrel picture there.
Yep.
Yeah, they pull that up. A lot of places do these, like sell, like pour your own bottle, but they're
Pump your
doing
own.
they're doing a pour your own new make.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they basically just got this. This is just a temporary thing, as far as I know. It's not going to be there forever and ever and ever. But what they've done is you go in, you pull up, you get your little miniature bottle, and you put 30 ml of new make into it, and you get to take it with you. Now, I think this is a great idea. It's just a fabulous thing. That people, I've mine with me, and I brought another one because I gave it to somebody else. And these guys are doing the going down the route where things are. How do you put it? They're going down the route of the emphasis is going to be on the yeasts because they've done a tie up with Harriet Watt to study hundreds of different types of yeasts to find out what sort of flavour profiles you get off using the different yeasts. So this one is, let me read this again, Voskivik. I'll let you do it because you're the academic amongst the two of us.
Well, Voss is in Norway, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But it's always Scandinavian anyway. And they're still in the same rate, doing all the fermentation times and all the same thing. Just the only variable is the yeast and what type of yeast there is. And you do get massively different
They do. Yeah.
flavour profiles. And that's going to be where they're going forward. I was really impressed. The guide, his name slips from my mind. Was it Tony? The guide was really, really good. Really, really good. The place was impressive. They were bang on time. And the tasting, that's up to the tasting room. And what the tasting room they did was they had two new makes with different yeasts. And then what they did was rather than a sourced whiskey, which people in Ireland do, I mean, different style of tour, up there what they did was they said they give you a sherry and a bourbon and a port so that you could sample them and see which one of the previous ones, the yeast ones, you thought would probably marry up best with the cask. I thought it was really clever. I thought it was really nice, really well laid out. Really something very clever. Something very clever.
It is. It is. It's all part of the package. And Edinburgh Tourism, they're down at Leith Docks there,
Yeah,
you know, which
yeah.
undergone massive regeneration.
Let me see, what's Tony say? Molecules are smaller than alcohol and fit into the H2O, thus making less volume. I think, but it was 30 years ago since I was taught that. Yeah, alcohol, if you do it right, alcohol and water don't mix. They sort of, alcohol's a very funny compound because it kind of sticks to stuff. It sticks in. That's why you can't, it's almost impossible to get 100% ethanol, because it takes so many distillations. But yeah, it binds together and goes down. But yeah, there's new make spirit. Again, these are with little bottles that they have, and there's about 5 different, but they've done hundreds of them apparently with Harriet Watt University. So it'll be interesting to see where it is going forward, what they are doing. But yeah, really clever. If you get a chance, go down to the Port of Leith distillery because it's very different. in that regard, it's a bit like the two distilleries. I know it's a slightly different thing, but the two distilleries in Belfast, which have their own story to tell without being distilleries, and the Portleaf Distillery, even though it's brand
There's,
new, kind of
there's a
has its
long back. There's a long background to it. They've been doing it.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
clever. It's just different than most distilleries, you know. It's really, really clever.
vertical distillery, vertical. So
Yeah, because they had no choice, and then they've done all these environmental things as well. So yeah, if you're in Edinburgh, jump in the tram, head out to Leith, and you're there in 2 minutes. Really, really good, really good. Now I'm going to have to jump onto the chat group about next week because there's a change of plan, Justin.
is there?
Slight deviation from the plan. Do you know the way we were booked in for 3 o'clock?
Mm-hmm.
We're not booked in for 3 o'clock. We're booked in for 4 o'clock now.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to send out to everybody that we're booked in at 4, not 3. So I'm trying to figure out, is there anywhere we could go for a couple of drinks beforehand and maybe go for down to the Sunflower or something like that before we meet at 4? What we do?
Could do, or gives people more time to get to Belfast, sort of thing, you know.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking if some other people, if they had planned already to be there for 3, that we could maybe meet in the Sunflower or something and get a drink and then head up. I totally hold it's my fault because I couldn't give Claire up at McConnell's a definite answer on numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And then she said, look, there's a fair few people have booked on at the 3 o'clock. So that sort of, right, that's okay. And she says, oh, but 4's available. I said, that's no problem. We'll go at 4 rather than 3. So that's the plan. That's the plan. So if you think maybe go for a wee drink somewhere before it. Darren Fleck, are they using a column still in Port of Leith? No, it's two pot stills. 2 pot stills. Oh, there. So 4 o'clock tour on what do you call it? Saturday. Maddens, do people know I'm coming? Oh yes.
Sunflower's closer. Sunflower's closer. Remember, we've got to walk up a hill, for God's sake.
It's about 10 minutes walk.
I might abandon my car there again and leave it there overnight like I did the last time.
Do you know what happened to me today? Here, by the way, let's just talk about this for a second, right? I was coming up from Dublin this morning. Now, the Enterprise coming up, and I had to come down to Larne to get picked up to come back here. Okay. Number one, I couldn't book the train online. Now, they advertise if you book online, it's €15 on the train up.
Mm-hmm.
That train doesn't take online bookings. Okay? So,
Right.
bearing in mind, there's 3 train lines runs out of Central Station or Lanyon Station now, right?
Yep.
The one to Derry, the one to Larne, and the one to Bangor. That's all that runs out of there. The train from Dublin into Lanyon arrives 10 minutes after the train heads out to Larne.
Oh yes. Do you not know that?
But I mean,
sure. If you're going Lisburn to Carrick, you have to wait 45 minutes because you've just missed the train that's going to Carrick. it's done intentionally. It's done intentionally.
It has to be. I mean, it's just the stupidest thing ever.
I'll tell you better than that. Inside the Great Victoria Street station, there's 4 new ticket machines, which are just opened but are closing in on the 10th because the station's closing. Why do you install 4 new ticket machines in the station that's redundant? I mean, are they going to uninstall them and move them, or are they just going to say, who cares? There's 4 gone.
It's just nuts. I mean, genuinely, you're like.
Do you know they're closing 10 stations between Belfast and Lisburn for 10 months? Yeah.
Nuts.
I know.
Nuts.
I don't know. I don't know how they can get away with it, but there you go.
Christopher Watt says we'll go to the Beach Club for a few cold.
That's too trendy for whiskey drinkers.
No trains from Belfast to Dublin for 2 months. No, but the Newry bus,
Yep.
the Newry. Aye, joke, absolute farce of a thing. Anyway, what we're going to play? A couple of weeks ago, me and my wee honey went to the Queen of the Hebrides.
Do we have one more story to do?
Wait, what's the other story? Aye, hang on. We'll get to that in a wee second. No, hang on. So we went to the Queen of the Hebrides, over to Islay, or as lots of people seem to just pronounce it, Islay. It's not Islay, it's Islay. We went over. We've been trying after many numerous attempts to get there. We headed over. The story Justin's referring to is the fact that Ardnahoe, one of the distilleries there, one of the newer ones that's up there, their first release is coming out on. Hang on, let me see. Where did I put that? Ardnahoe is coming out in a couple of. I can't even see that now. In a few days' time, like it's in a few days' time. It's going to be £70 for the bottle. A 5-year-old, 50% bourbon and Oloroso, peated at 40 phenol parts per million. So it'll be their inaugural release, and you can go onto their website. It's limited to 2 per person, I think it is, and that'll be their release. Now, most places you go over. Most people who go over do one or two of the distilleries. I managed to jump in a hire car and just scoot round the whole lot of them and do a little piece outside every one of them. I didn't go into all of them, went to some of them, but we went to all of them. We were at least there. I popped into a few of them. Some of them have changed dramatically. Ardbeg is now owned by LVMH, Louis Vuitton, Moet and Hennessy. And down in it, it's quite nice inside. Big new car park at it and stuff.
Very fancy now, is it? Yeah.
But you go down in, you go to the bathroom, and it's like Picasso's had a go at it. You know, it's all funky art and all. And as I say, I think I say it in this piece. I just find it weird that back in 1815, when they were opening it up, the end of the world basically, and now it's owned by this like really chic, trendy French corporation. I find it bizarre. Julie bought me these. Anybody that knows me knows I love socks. Brooke. Laddie. Brooklady socks. We've done the warehouse tasting at Brooklady. Octomore. That is a 14-year-old Octomore. 14 years in bourbon and red wine, and then 7 years in second fill bourbon. Local barley. That's you can't buy that. That's impossible to buy. You only get it if you do the tasting. So we've done it. A great adventure. Just beautiful place. It is stunning. The people are lovely. And if you haven't been, I do thoroughly recommend it. Now, Justin's done a video. I sent him over a whole pile of stuff. I haven't seen this. There may be some of these photos are not in the right order.
I'm playing all the right tunes, but not necessarily all in the right order.
So this is about 15, 20 minutes, did you say?
It's 20 minutes long. It's 20 minutes long.
So we can watch this and then we'll see you've never finished.
All right.
Mm-mm.
So you find me here because I've crossed the water over from Ireland, which is just over there. You can see it just over on the horizon. A bit misty today, but you can see it over there because I'm on the island of Islay. Now, we all know Scotch whisky is a multi-billion pound industry, and Islay accounts for about 10% of it. But there's only 3,500 people live in this little place. This place, in terms of taxation, raises more than any other place in the UK by a mile. Hundreds of millions is raised by the whisky that's here. Now, the distilleries that are here now, there's now 10 of them, another 3 on the way. And if Speyside is the engine of the Scotch whisky industry, Islay really is the heart and soul of it. Without question, when people think of Scotch whisky, really it's peat they're thinking of. And peat is what's in the DNA of this place. If you turn round, pan round, just to see the bay over here, it's just brilliant. Turn round. Just amazing. So it's just absolutely windswept, unbelievable. Now, how did whisky come here? And I have to thank my friend Fanon for this, because it was thought for a long time, just to be that it was said over and over, that it came across by the monks. Probably not. What happened was an O'Neill princess came over to marry Angus MacDonald, who was the Lord of the Isles. And one of the guys that came with her was a physician. And at the time he was known as the Macbetha, and became known as the Macbeths, and then eventually become known as the Beatons. And it was reckoned that that's where the moment that whisky or distillation crossed over from just across there in Ireland and came over to Islay. And this is really the genesis of the Scotch whisky industry. So, right down on the very southwest tip of Islay, again just across the water is Ireland and home. So I can more or less see where I'm from, where I live over in Glenarm. I thought we had to come down here because we're down at the American Monument, and the American Monument was set up because there was 2 sinkings of American troop ships at the very end of World War I. It says here the Toscana and the Otranto. World War I had a transformative effect on this place. Islay at the time had over 6,000 people living on it. Today it's just a little bit more than half of that. But American troops came here. There was these 2 ships were sunk, and it had a huge effect, because not only were the American troops sank here, 200 out of a population of 6,000, 200 men lost their lives from here fighting in World War I. It's kind of a bleak but really, really beautiful spot. And whenever you come to see all the whisky stuff, I think it's kind of really important that people remember some of the other stuff that happened too. It's not just about the whisky, you know. You find me, this is probably the most remote of the distilleries in Islay, way up in the northeast at Bunnahabhain. Now, we sit over here and we have Jura just across the water. Now this place, it makes about 2.5 million LPA every year. Founded in 1881 by 3 brothers who decided to build a distillery way up here. It was the first place on Islay to have electric. But it wasn't until 1960 that this place actually had a road up to it. When they say road, it's in a very loose sense of the word. The road ain't great, and it takes a bit of effort to get up here. But they're known for unpeated whiskies, but they do make some peat, and they have a very close relationship with Black Bottle, a rather fantastic Black Bottle actually. So these days, back in 2010, they abandoned chill filtration, so all of their bottlings are above 40%. So you could get them sometimes they're about 42 all the way up to maybe 48 and so on. Make quite a lot of stuff, very easy to get, and the fact that it's so far up here, it's incredible, really is. But this is Bunnahabhain. This is a public road. So, up here, up not too far away from Bunnahabhain, right up at the very top northeast, is one of the new ones, Ardnahoe. Now, Ardnahoe was the brainchild of Stuart Lang, who really wanted to do another Islay whisky, heavily peated, perfect Islay tradition. And in 2016 they set it up. As I say, they do about 1 million LPA, but they've got really funky stills. The stills have these really long line arms that descend over 7.5 metres. Then they do worm tub condensing, which is really inefficient, really sort of... Most people don't do it these days. It's the only one in Islay that does it. So they are brand new visitor centre. They're running 24/7. They're in here ploughing away while we're out in the pissing rain. But you don't come to Islay for the weather. So this is one of the new guys. This is the 9th distillery that opened on the island of Islay. Now, Driv, we were previously up a bit further up in the northeast, and we've came down rather a bumpy road, but the rains went off and there's a bit of blue sky appearing, which is quite nice. And we've come all the way down to Islay, which is, as it says there, the home of Johnny Walker on Islay. Now, this distillery was set up in 1846 by a man called Hector Henderson, and he built it way up here remote, and it went through a number of different sort of things happened to it. But then in 1929 it was taken over by DCL, who would eventually end up becoming bought over by Diageo. But in 1970s it had a bit of an upgrade because it was used in blends. Johnny Walker, back in the early part of the 1900s, when he was doing up his blend for Johnny Walker, said that he was using an Islay malt. It's the only place that he actually sort of geographical gives an indication of what it was he was using. 1970s, big upgrade. Then in 2011, another upgrade, and this place is churning out about 6.5 million LPA, an enormous amount of stuff. But up until probably about 10 years ago, or maybe a little bit more, you couldn't have got it on its own. It was only as independent bottlers that you would have got Islay by itself. These days they have their own line. They do a number of different variations. A lot of people will have tried it now, but it's not as well known as certainly some of the other Islay distilleries, even though it produces an awful lot more. But most people will have drank it, maybe in a blend or in an independent bottling. But I think it's kind of like a little bit of a slightly resting giant. But you do know that it's made by Diageo, because whenever you pull into the car park, there's security cameras and things reading your number plate to make sure you're not there, so on. You can tell it's a big corporation, but where it's situated, it's absolutely gorgeous. As I say, it is the home of Johnny Walker on Islay. Right, so we're up at the oldest distillery on Islay. This is Bowmore, or Bowmore, in the little village of Bowmore. This was founded back in 1779 by two Glaswegians, and it was after a period it was sold to the wonderfully named Mutter brothers. And so this is the oldest one, probably one of the more famous ones. Hiya. Now, this was the distillery really that Jim McEwen started working on back when he was 15 years of age. So he's probably the most famous guy in the Islay whisky industry, certainly the most public face. Now, they try to use as much local barley as possible, but there's obviously there's quite a demand on that, and Islay doesn't really grow as much barley as the whisky industry could consume. Now, these buildings, this sits on Loch Indal, which is just out over here behind me, behind these buildings. And one of the things that the distillery does, which I think is really cool, and obviously it'll keep Greta Thunberg happy, very important these days, is the waste heat that they generate in here is actually used to heat this leisure centre, heat the swimming pool inside the leisure centre that's just beside me here. So yeah, these guys, they make about 2 million LPA, 2.5 million, something like that. And these days they have a tie up with Aston Martin, which is a bit of a strange one. And they also did a rather nice 19-year-old that came out that was done with Amazon. If you get your hands on it, it's actually quite a nice little drink. So I'm standing here at the back of Bowmore, and it was just on this, from here, that Jim McEwen quite famously said that he was going to go across someday and make whiskey over at another distillery that was shut down at the time, and it's just across the bay from me here. And that distillery, where we're going to be heading very shortly, is Bruichladdich. So we were over at Bowmore. We came back over across Loch and Dal, Bowmore Bay, or whatever way you want to call it, over to Bruichladdich. Now, Bruichladdich was opened in 1881. There was three brothers, Harvey, that opened it. And then eventually it was bought in the 1960s by White and Mackay, who, behemoth of whiskey, just massive. But Bruichladdich became surplus to requirements. It was known as a sort of fairly light style. And then in 1994 they closed it. Now, the famous story is Mark Rainier, who had a wine background, decided that he bought a bottle, or he won a bottle of Bruichladdich whiskey, and decided that it had lots of complexity. So he came up here, and famously he came here and all the signs said closed, keep out, stay away, blah blah blah. But in 2000 he managed to get some backers, and they ended up opening it up again, and they got Jim McEwen to come over and start working over here. And I don't think Mark Rainier really gets the credit he deserves, because he totally transformed not only this place but also the Scottish whisky industry. They started doing really, really weird and new, innovative stuff. So Bruichladdich, unpeated. Then you have Port Charlotte, heavily peated, and then you have Octomore, really, really, really heavily peated. Now, Octomore 8.3 is the highest peat content ever, 258 ppm. When you consider that the likes of Ardbegg's about 50, kind of tells you all you need to know. So this place today is all done out in that sort of funky blue colour. It's really, really windy here, but we're going to go and do a warehouse tasting. So we're up here at Kilhoman, and I thought that'd be kind of funny because there's a draft trailer out here, and this is going to go and feed the cattle around here, because this is the only farm to bottle distillery on Islay. Now, it started by a husband and wife team. They own this farm. They grow about 200 tonne of barley every year, which they then convert into whiskey. It started off in 2005, with the first bottling being in 2009. And they do an annual release bottle. Now, it sits about 50 ppm parts per million, phenols per million, I should say, and it's quite peaty, quite strong, and really in that sort of Islay tradition. The smell here is just incredible. It's just absolutely lovely, lovely, lovely smell. So yeah, one of the new guys on the block, and very, very well received. They do quite long fermentations for the industry. They do sort of sub just about 90 hours fermentation, so it's quite long. So yeah, if you haven't tried Kilhoman, well worth checking that out. It's lovely. Now, behind me, this is Gardbreck Farm. This has been bought over by Chivas Regal to be their new distillery. And this project's been off and on and off and on. But as far as I'm aware, that this place is going to be another new distillery on Islay. It sits just up a little bit from Bowmore, and across the bay is Bruichladdich. One thing they'll have to do is fix the road, because there's more potholes here than anywhere I've ever seen. It's just unbelievable. But we don't know a huge amount about it, but I assume there's going to be big plans. Right, so we're up, the furthest away of the distilleries on was the 3 Distillery Road. We're up here at Ardbeg. We found it by the McDougalls back in 1815, and it was the first legal distillery here. That bit of a tradition of distilling illegally. But then, not long after that, a few decades later, these guys were pumping out about 1.5 million LPA. They were pumping out a ferocious amount of stuff and employed about a third of all the people around here. Like most of these places, times fell, hard times, blah 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 blah, and eventually the place sort of got run down. But it got renovated, re-established, and you know who owns it now? Louis Vuitton, LMVH, Louis Vuitton. Moet Champagne and Hennessy own this place. I can't imagine what if you went back in time and told the McDougalls that they were going to be owned by the most luxurious, richest company in the world would own a little distillery in rain-soaked Islay. Famous for all the funky releases, the committee releases. They're always kind of a bit different, and there's always something odd about them. They do weird things. So, Ardbeg, they sold a cask not that long ago for £16 million. Just ferocious. Inside, it's all a bit funky inside, and you can tell all that it's a bit quirky and cool, you know. The bathroom looks a bit like Picasso's painted it, but yeah, it's a bit odd. But yeah, this is Ardbeg. So you find me stuck way over in one of the most remote parts of Islay, where I've come to this cross. This is the Kilhoman Cross, and it's there to commemorate the Beaton family and the medical guild that they set up. Now, a lot of people will tell you that the history of Scotch starts with monks coming across from Ireland, but that's not what the historical records are beginning to show. It's beginning to be that actually what happened is Anya O'Neill married Angus MacDonald, who's the Lord of the Isles and the Lord of this island. And as part of her wedding dowry, a man called Beaton came across. And the Beatons were the physicians to the Lords of the Isle after that. And they brought over distillation, and it was a medical practice. It was a medicine. And when it came over, then that was how it went from Ireland to Scotland. I mean, even the most ardent Scottish nationalists will admit that history shows that whisky came from Ireland. Now, the Beatons set up a medical guild. They were the Macbeths, or the Macbathas, and they set up this medical guild that went on to become the physicians to the kings and queens of Scotland. And this cross here marks the commemorates the guild. Now, this is just stunningly beautiful. Looks over Machier Bay, very close to here. And this was erected back in the 14th century to mark the guild. It is absolutely beautiful here, beautiful. Now, it's not hard to see where we're at this time because, well, it's written here behind me. This is Lafroig, which lots of people have real difficulty pronouncing, including my Julie back in the day. And this was opened back in 1815, and it was owned by the Johnson family. And the Johnsons owned it all the way through. There was actually 2 distilleries here, although apparently at one point there was about 10 illegal ones in and around here. Like I've been through all its permutations and so on. And probably the most interesting owner here is a lady called Bessie Williamson. And she started off as a typist, and then a man, Ian Hunter, had taken it over in the 1950s. And when he passed away, he left it to Bessie. She ran it for a number of years, and then she realised that it really needed a lot of money. And she sold off part of her shares and it was bought up by a big corporation who then expanded it. Lafroig is really, when I think of Islay, I think of Lafroig, if I'm honest. Heavy, phenolic, PE, iodine, sort of TCP-esque notes to it. It's just amazing. You can actually smell the smoke's billowing out of the chimney over there, over the pagoda roof over there. And it's just in the most beautiful setting. It's really, really gorgeous. But yeah, it's a gorgeous thing. Prince Charles, this is the only whiskey, King Charles, this is the only whiskey that actually has a royal warrant. It seems a bit strange, but there you go.
Well.
You catch me having a wee drinky. You've left out Lagavulin, Lafroig, or not Lagavulin. You left out Lagavulin and some of the new ones.
I used every video you sent me.
Oh, well, then I must have forgot to send you some. No, we went around the whole place, and it is amazingly beautiful. It's well worth taking a run around. Um, just it's a miracle the place is actually an island, if I'm honest, because it was pissing out the heavens. It was dead windy, and there's all the bog and peat all over the place. So there's
But
water everywhere.
But it literally is amazing that it raises more tax than anywhere else. I mean, it's just a stunning place, isn't it?
In terms of tax revenue per capita, it's easily the biggest one, biggest area in the UK or in the British Isles. And there's not even. I don't honestly think there's a competition for it because the amount of stuff that they make and every single bottle that's sold, certainly domestically, has about 13 to 14 pound in tax on it. I mean, it's just incredible. And they're opening new ones up at the airport. There's a new one coming up. There's a massive one with the guys that used to own the Whiskey Exchange are opening down down just literally outside Port Ellen. It's the Three Distilleries Road, and there's a massive, the biggest of all the distilleries is going to be the first one, a new one. So they won't need to change it to the Four Distilleries Road. The Islay Boys, as they're known, they make the beer guys. They're opening one, honestly, and it's just incredible. If I think honestly, if people in their heart of hearts are whiskey fans, you can't not go to Islay at some point. It's kind of like if you were a Muslim and going to Mecca, you kind of have to.
We'll get Zuckerberg comparing it to that, but I know what you mean.
No, but yeah, I mean, is there no fear of running out of peat? The Scottish government, being the Scottish government, are just constantly making it more difficult for if it's now a $9.5 billion industry. It was announced this week. I forgot to say this in the news. By far and away the biggest food and drink export in the UK. And what they're saying is, they're talking about banning the use of peat. Islay uses not very much of it every year. I mean, you're talking literally tons of the stuff, but it's covered in it. I mean, there's mountains of it, and it can be done in a sustainable way with as little impact as possible. And there's no reason that you couldn't use it, albeit in maybe a slightly different way you have been. So yeah, as I say, it's only across the water, but it's kind of hard to get to. To see Kit saying organising it day. We've done that before, Kit.
And the weather wasn't with us.
Honestly, it's probably handy. The way we did it, we fly to Glasgow and then fly across and land up at the airport.
But nothing beats a bit of adventure on the boat.
Oh, I would go in the boat, no problem. I have no issue going in the boat.
Is there still as a mill pond today?
Aye, but it's the people that pilot the boats that seem to have an issue. But I mean, we had such a good time. One of the things I said there was when I think of Islay, I think of Lafroig. And when you walk into Lafroig, you get straight away, the first thing they do is they give you a free drink, which is probably not a bad idea since you're getting absolutely soaked. And you go in, it's a nice environment.
A 3-day trip. There you go.
3-day trip. We'll do a 3-day trip to Islay.
I need a week to sober up.
We'll charter a plane, fly over, hire somewhere, and go to a 3-day trip to Islay. We'll get next Saturday out of the way first. It's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
And we'll get next Saturday out of the way first, and we'll maybe have a chat about it then, because we're all meeting up and getting together and doing next Saturday. The 4 o'clock tour we're booked in. My bad. I should have gone.
And it's closed. It's closed because it's fixed numbers now, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, it's closed because I'll not be annoying folks down there anymore. I knew that some people were going to be a bit late getting back to me, so that's why I kind of put it off. And then never put it off. They took bookings, which is fair enough. I mean, they're a business. So there, and that was that. So But yeah, so we'll get a chat maybe and see about going to Islay again and get over on.
All right. Great stuff. Great show tonight. Again, remember to comment, like, and share. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Telegram, Twitch, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Always hit us up. If the show's relevant, it'll be there as well. And you can catch them all on YouTube. Past shows over the past few years. All right. Lovely stuff. Catch you next week. We will be live from Hearth at some time in the evening.
Aye.
Probably not as late as this, because we will be slightly
it will not be, because I'm working the next day, so
it'll be early. It'll be early. It'll be about tea time next week, live from Hearth, and we'll do
maybe a wee half-hour show or something. That's probably what we'll do.
Yeah. Okay. Lovely stuff. Thanks for watching, everybody. Night, everybody. Night. All right. Night. Don't keep on saying the things, because otherwise I have to keep on doing them. Bye. It's like leaving your grannies. Here we